The pirate is on the ballot, and the hat should be next. Welcome to Overtime with Matt Moscona. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for hanging out with us here. The National Football Foundation has released the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame, and for the first time, former Washington State and Texas Tech and Mississippi State coach Mike Leach appears on the ballot. Now, that is significant because previously, Leach was not eligible. I'll explain. Now, we know that Mike Leach tragically died in December of 2022. Hard to believe that's already been 3 years since Mike Leach died, 3.5 years. He was 61 years old. He had complications related to a heart condition. He fell ill and very, very rapidly progressed and ultimately led to his untimely death at just 61 years old. Now, Mike Leach, when he died, was 158 and 107 in his head coaching career. That's a winning percentage of .596. Now, that's significant because the threshold for coaches to be eligible for election of the College Football Hall of Fame was a winning percentage of 600. So Mike Leach fell just below that threshold, meaning he was not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. Now, sometimes logic can set in, and we can look at a situation like Mike Leach and say, that's a man who belongs in the College Football Hall of Fame. He went to 3 programs in 3 different states where they were the quote unquote little brother programs. Texas Tech, certainly they're spending now with Cody Campbell, but in the pre-NIL era, no one had wanted Texas Tech until Mike Leach. And then he goes to Washington State, where obviously in the Little Apple, they're the little brother to the University of Washington. And then he goes to Mississippi State, which is the smallest budget athletic department in the Southeastern Conference. And at all 3 places, Mike Leach found a way to win more than half of his games, which is astonishing when you think about that. And then on top of it, he's one of college football's great personalities. The Pirate, he was a great interview. He was one to certainly poke fun at himself and never shied away from a soundbite. Mike Leach was outstanding, and he's the type of coach and person and character and personality that we should want immortalized in the College Football Hall of Fame, so all generations of college football fans, long after we're all gone, can look back and know who Mike Leach was. That's a very important distinction, I believe. So the National Football Foundation agreed. The National Football Foundation ultimately adjusted their threshold and their minimum requirement eligibility to a winning percentage of .595. So they lowered it from 600 to .595. And that means Mike Leach is eligible. So he's on the ballot for the first time, and I hope he gets elected. It's a very robust ballot, by the way. There are 80 players, 80 players, and 9 FBS coaches, then 90 from the FBS, then 99 players and 39 coaches from other NCAA divisions or the NAIA. So the class will be announced in January during the college football playoff. I certainly hope Mike Leach is elected. But for the sake of this conversation, I think we have to have another adjacent conversation, and that's about Les Miles. And I understand there are a lot of LSU fans and maybe college football fans that will roll their eyes at that, because for many, Les Miles, because of his idiosyncrasies, his very strange syntax, his unwillingness to adapt offensively, became a punchline for many. That notwithstanding, Les Miles' resume warrants immediate election to the College Football Hall of Fame. And if you do a blind resume, I don't even think this is debatable. Les Miles won a national championship. He played for another national championship. We know they lost that game 21-0 to Alabama, and a game Alabama didn't deserve to be in after LSU had already beaten that team on their home field in Tuscaloosa in the game of the century. 9-6 in overtime, as we all remember very well. Les Miles won 2 Southeastern Conference championships and played for a third. And the most important part to remember is the threshold for election to the College Football Hall of Fame was 600. When Les Miles walked away from college football, even after his 3-18 tenure at Kansas, won 66% of his games on the field. He sailed past the threshold for election to the College Football Hall of Fame. He met the threshold of winning percentage, won a national title, played for another, won a couple of SEC titles, played for a third, and all of that, by the way, while in the same division as the greatest coach of all time. What if Nick Saban weren't at Alabama? How much more would Les Miles have won? He would certainly have a second national championship, and who knows, maybe more. But the bottom line is, even with all of that context, Les Miles belongs in the College Football Hall of Fame. But you might remember there was an NCAA investigation with the Vidal Alexander situation that led to LSU vacating 37 wins of the Miles era. Well, vacating those wins, despite the fact that on the field, Les Miles was 145-73 in his career, winning 66% of his games, vacating those 37 wins brought Les Miles' winning percentage from 66 to 59. Just a tick below the threshold, and vastly ahead of still Mike Leach. So, and oh, by the way, if you just look at the results on the field before the vacated wins, I'm talking about wins on the field, Les Miles won 77% of his games as the LSU head football coach. Again, I'm not sitting here defending Les Miles' unwillingness to adapt offensively. I'm not defending him and Cam Cameron doing what they did at the end of that tenure, which ultimately led to his firing. What I will absolutely stand here and say is that man, in a transformative era, in the toughest conference in the country, in the same division as the greatest coach ever, won 77% of his games, won a national title, 2 SEC titles, played for another of each, and absolutely is a College Football Hall of Famer for the same reason that Mike Leach is. Not only did they win, but they were great personalities and their idiosyncrasies, and they are people who the college football generations after we're gone need to know about. Sometimes it doesn't end great, but Les Miles' legacy on the field dramatically, his resume dramatically outpaces Mike Leach's. And the fact that we have people who stumped for this rule change for Mike Leach specifically because of his untimely death, and I endorse that, by the way, you have to also acknowledge that if you are going to usher Mike Leach into the College Football Hall of Fame, then Les Miles not only should go in, but he should go in before Mike Leach. Now, Leach is on the ballot first, and Leach should and will get in. But my goodness, Les Miles should not be far behind. He's a guy whose career resume warrants election into the College Football Hall of Fame. And my sincere hope is that someday that comes for Les Miles, as it should and likely will for Mike Leach. By the way, if you're an LSU football fan, a couple of other notable names: Alan Faneca, Patrick Peterson, both also on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame. And then notable players like Cam Newton and RG3, Robert Griffin III from Baylor, a couple of Heisman Trophy winners, they're on the ballot for the first time. Former Ohio State linebacker A.J. Hawk, Wisconsin running back Melvin Gordon, a couple of national award winners there are also on the College Football Hall of Fame ballot. The new class will be announced in January during the College Football Hall of Fame. My hope is that Mike Leach is on that list of electees and inductees for the 2027 class. And an even more sincere hope is that Les Miles is soon to follow. Okay, let me know your thoughts here on Overtime with Matt Moscona. Drop your comments. As always, we appreciate it on YouTube. Please subscribe on YouTube. Leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. If you're on podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review, and let a friend know that we're here on Overtime with Matt Moscona.